Yo, what's going on, everyone? Shoenami here with another video, of course. So today's video is going to be on why I prefer used shoes over new shoes. Now, I prefer used shoes over new shoes because they're so much cheaper usually, and I really don't mind buying a used pair of shoes. Sometimes these shoes also feel worn already too, so like they're a little more comfortable than wearing a brand new pair. You ever wear a brand new pair of shoes and they feel kind of stiff? Well, it's mainly because they're brand new and no one's broken them in yet. So when you buy new shoes, they feel like you got to break them in and they're kind of uncomfortable. When you buy used shoes, they're already like broken in and they're a lot more comfortable. This has happened with a lot of pairs of shoes that I already have, right? Like I remember I bought the Ginger 14s off the sneakers app a while ago. And those shoes are actually pretty uncomfortable at first because they were so stiff. But I'll go over and I'll buy like a pair of Jordan 8s, Jordan 8 playoffs, and they're already comfortable because they've already been worn in, and they've also been out for like probably like 10 years at this point, and they're the 2013 pair. So back to the point though, usually used shoes are a lot cheaper than brand new shoes, of course, because they're not brand new and they're already used. So take for example the Black Toe 14. This is actually a shoe that I still want. And this shoe, I've been looking like on StockX. It was like around $300, which was actually kind of fucking crazy. Because I remember when they came out, they were basically a GR. And they just shot up in price. And I passed on them and I regret that. And I think I've said that before in my first video. But anyway, my size 11, you're looking at around $250 before fees for them. And of course, the fees on StockX. I'm looking at StockX. Do they even authenticate shit anymore? I don't know. They just keep sending people fake stuff because, they don't want to get, beamed for that or whatever because, they have sent out fake shoes before. Anyway, that's another topic for another time. But these are about $250, Black Toe 14s, before the fees and everything. So I'm probably going to end up paying around $280 after fees for this brand new pair. But then I go to eBay and I look on there and I see a listing. It's not available anymore, but there's a listing on there that was $200, plus the $15 for authentication. And that's how much they want. They want about $215 for their lightly used pair, which it didn't even look that used at all. And it's just like, why would I go over here and pay for a brand new pair of uncomfy, not broken in shoes when I could just buy this pair right here that's used and probably broken in a little bit already? And plus, when it's shoes that are already kind of used, I kind of have the incentive that I actually will wear them more. Because when you get a brand new pair of shoes, even the tiniest marks can sometimes piss you off and be like, damn, I already got them that dirty. But when it's a used pair already, you'll be like, oh yeah, they were already kind of that dirty, and you kind of just want to wear them already. I'm not saying you gotta buy dirty used shoes. That's not what I'm saying here, okay? I'm just saying that it kind of gives you the incentive to actually want to wear them more and not mind game as dirty as you would a brand new pair of shoes. Plus, with those brand new pairs of shoes, when you find out how much you pay for them, so say, for example, the UNC ones, I'll just bring that up. You know what? No, not the UNC ones. We're going to bring up the Black Toe ones that came out this year, right? Say you went to JD Sports and you ended up paying that $180 retail plus whatever tax is on there too, right? But let's say you go to eBay and you find someone selling a used pair for $100. You're not going to feel as bad about getting these shoes a little bit ruined or maybe creased or wearing them out so much or frequently like in the rain as you would if you spent $180 whatever dollars you would on a new pair of shoes. You wouldn't be as upset, That's why buying a used pair of shoes, it's not going to be as bad when you accidentally get them a little ruined or nothing. You'll be like, oh, I spent $110 on these, damn. But let's say you get like a brand new pair of Jordan 4 Bread Reimagines from StockX and you ended up paying $280 and you're like, dang, I got these $280 shoes messed up when I could have just got already a little used pair already. That's probably about $160, You're really going to think about like, damn, I really did spend all that money just for that. Nah, you don't need to do all that. And there's a lot of shoes that, like, I usually just don't buy used at all. I mean, new at all, depending on what it is. I mean, there's times when I will buy new shoes, but majority of the time, I'd rather just go after a used pair of shoes, especially when I can find them, like, on eBay and you can authenticate them and all that. I think that's pretty cool. I don't know how good their authentication really is. I've heard some horror stories But most of the time, I think they're pretty decent on there. So I'm not going to say eBay is really bad to buy shoes. I still would recommend to go on there. And the thing also about buying used shoes is sometimes on eBay, you can find some of these shoes on a bid. So you can find them for very cheap if you end up winning the bid. So, you know, like the Flu Game 12s, I still want the Flu Game 12s. And there's luckily multiple listings that have them for around like 190 to 210 still. Because I did miss out on those. But luckily, I can still find them on here. And I even found like the Cherry 12s for about $167 a while ago. I ended up paying that much total just for like a very lightly used pair. I mean, you could tell on the bottom they were used, but for the most part, they just look brand new. It was really, really nice. I did get rid of those though because they looked really bad on my feet with everything I wore. I was like, yeah, these look really bad. But they're a very nice pair of shoes. I'd say that. They're a very gorgeous pair. Very nice leather on the Jordan 12 Cherries. But I was like, damn, these look bad on me. I had to get rid of them so fast. And, you know, I did because they're a very hot shoe. They're an OG colorway. They were going to sell. And, of course, they did. But used shoes, you know, I really don't have a problem with this. And I know people are going to be like, oh, aren't you worried about, like, athlete's foot or something? Or foot fungus? It's like, I've never owned a pair of shoes that were used that had that ever in my life. Like, does that frequently happen? Because I've never had that happen to me. Nothing like that even ever came out to be a thing for me. So I don't know how common that is or who y'all are buying your shoes from, but that has never happened to me. And hopefully it never does, because that would be pretty bad. And I guess I could see why that would be a bad experience. But for me, it's like, I'm just going to keep buying the used shoes. And, oh, you know what? I also forgot to bring out the point that if they don't come with a box, they're going to be even cheaper, you know. You can find some shoes back in the day. Not back in the day, maybe like 10 years ago with no box. You can find them for really cheap, $60, $70. And another tip that I have is if there's ever a very expensive pair of shoes, so this doesn't always apply, but let's put the White Thunder 4s, right? You remember the White Thunder 4s, that crappy ass quality they got, all right? So those shoes are going for about probably 300 plus in my size right now, but if you do find a used pair, you can probably find them for around retail. This is another thing I just want to bring up, how a lot of shoes that are over retail, if you want to find them cheaper, okay, so let's say the 4 is released in August, right? I think it was like August 10th or something like that. I don't remember when. Let's say August 10th, right? So give it till maybe December of that year, and you should be able to go back and find used listings for a cheaper pair. Because I know a lot of people, what they do is they try to get a pair of shoes after release day or maybe a few weeks after, and you can't find any listings for cheap. They're all super expensive, like on eBay. But if you just wait months down the line, there's going to be people that wore the shoe and they're not going to want the shoe anymore. And then you can definitely find them for a lot cheaper. Unlike, again, this doesn't always happen, but it sometimes does. Like, I don't think the Brick by Brick 4s that came out, I don't think you're going to find a used pair for pretty cheap right now. I mean, you're obviously not going to find one for like $250 unless you're super, super lucky. And then if you find those for $250, even though I don't like those shoes, even if you find them for $250, you should probably buy a lottery ticket that day. But anyway, there's shoes like that. Like, I know the Travis Scott Fragments, I think I've seen those for, those things are not worth whatever. They're obviously not worth how much these are, like $1,200. But I have seen them used for like $1,200, you know. So if you're really willing to spend that much money on a pair of shoes, which I would never do, but if you want to do that, then you go do that. And it is under retail, because I know StockX, I mean, let me go even check right now how much those Fragment lows are going for. Those things are always going up and down in price. Okay, here we go, right here. These things are going for about, $1,800, $2,000, and they're about $1,200 for the used pair. So I guess you're saving yourself about, I don't know, $800. Yeah, that's a pretty good deal, but not in the case that you're spending $1,200 on shoes. Not in that way, but if you have to, which you don't have to, but you know, if you want to, then you can go on eBay and find them for cheaper. I guess it's kind of turned to more of an eBay video instead of a used shoe video, but you still get the point, right? I mean, StockX can be great for certain things, finding certain shoes under retail, because you're not always going to find a used pair of shoes online. Sometimes it's just impossible, especially me when I used to buy Reebok. you would just not find used pairs of these Reebok shoes I want online. You'd only find new pairs, and they'd always be over retail. And I could just, go on StockX and usually find them for under retail because they were just the only place that usually had them. But that's, again, another time. I'm going to talk about that another time, why StockX is actually a very good platform to buy stuff on, certain things on. I'll be specific about that when I do that video. But yeah, that's all I got to say about used shoes. Bye.